Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Incubate This, where we like to talk about stuff that's relevant to business as it relates to startups. Every now and then we throw in a little bit of technology talk. And that's because this is sponsored by GotAnAppIdea.com. And we are all about helping people who have technology ideas fail fast and often. And that means getting to a go, no-go decision on whether or not it's really worth spending time and money building out a piece of software as quickly and as cheaply as possible. So, to that end, today we are talking about why does prototyping matter? What is prototyping? Why does it matter? Why do we do it? If you know anything about our Apptrepreneur startup program, we use the prototyping process as a self-contained, it lives on a device, there's no server, the data is all hard-coded, your interactions are real. But we use this prototyping because we can very quickly distill down information about user experience, user interaction. Are we solving a problem that people really have? Is this a problem that's big enough that they're willing to use something new in their process to solve that problem? And are we solving it in the right way? So I guess we'll just jump in. Why prototyping? Why does it matter? Why do we do it?
I think the potential client we met with earlier today hit the nail on the head where they said they talked to several other development shops, and the first words of their mouth were basically $400,000 to start.
And we'll see where we end up.
And the thing that he keyed on I thought was interesting was he was like, the more they talked, the more more complex it got. And, from his perspective, it was they're just adding complexity to be able to charge me more. In reality, they may be doing that. Mm-hmm. Probably they're just thinking, well, we're going to have this piece and it's going to have to do this. And so, yeah, it is getting more complex.
Yeah.
But I can see where he would be really turned off by that.
Yeah.
So
because ultimately we say, one of the questions he asked us, he was like, well, your startup program seems really, really cheap. How do you guys make money? And like, I don't even understand. Like, it's mind boggling to me. And we're like, well, we don't necessarily make money on the startup program. And that's not really the purpose of the startup program. Purpose of it is to get you all of the other information you have to have before you spend $400,000 on software, because a software company will build whatever you ask them to build without regard for, is it the right thing? Is it really what your customers need? Who are your customers? Who are your users? How do they experience technology?
They don't have skin in the game of your success.
Yes. Exactly.
Their success is just
billing you
for building whatever you tell them to build. And I think the bottom line for the prototype is you want to find out if you should move forward. You have an idea. You want to find out if you should move forward with that idea and invest your life into getting that out there and successful. You want to minimize the cost and the time that it takes to find out if you're still in love with the idea and if it's going to be viable.
Yeah.
It's going to make you rich.
Yeah.
But spending $400,000 or even $100,000 to find that out is too much.
It's way too much.
And but a lot of people will be happy to get you started down that path because they're making money.
Right.
But you'd like to know in a few months, hey, this idea that's been stewing in my head for the last year, is it as good of an idea as I think and my wife thinks or my family thinks and my friends think? And I really want to do this thing, but I don't have $100,000, or the people who do have $100,000 at the end of the show, they've lost their $100,000 and they don't have anything more.
Yeah.
Or they find out they had a product that isn't viable.
It missed the mark.
So instead of that, you want to spend this $5,000, spend a few months doing some research that we direct you to do and find out what we direct you to find out, basically to know at the end of that process you've got something in front of you that whether you want to carry that to fruition.
Yeah.
And how many companies have we talked to? Several companies now that have spent, what, $250,000?
Oh my gosh. I heard another one, like I was telling you guys this morning, I heard another one of these stories on Saturday. This guy, he comes to me, he's like, hey, I heard about your program and, I've spent $250,000. I have the software. It's been out, ready for customer sales for almost 18 months, 2 years, something like that. And it's just not gaining traction. And I was like, well, before you built it, did you do customer validation? Did you do product validation? Did you find out if the problem you're solving is a big enough problem that people are willing to pay, the $70 or $120 a year that you're asking them to pay, $10 a month? And he was like, no, can I do that now? And I was like,
you can.
I said, look, this is the way I phrase this conversation because it's a very, very painful conversation to have with anybody. But I always say, here's the deal. I am more than happy to go through that process with you. You have to decide how willing you are at the end of it for me to tell you you have to spend another $100,000 because you built the wrong thing. So you have to, before I'll leave and go down the road with you, you have to wrap your mind around that level of
pain,
throwing away what you did.
Yeah.
Can you get in that mind
space?
space?
It may just be that
it may not.
What, we need a small tweak, and we've identified your market better.
Yep.
But you'll need to put some marketing investment into it. But
I mean, it could very well be a marketing problem.
But it is a hilarious kind of that whole. Can I do that now?
Yeah.
Well, you already spent the money.
Yeah. I mean, look, you can do product and customer validation at any time. We are saying do it first.
Yeah.
That's why we do the prototype. It's quick, it's cheap. It's almost like throwaway code, although we do build them in such a way that if you wanted to take it and turn it into an MVP or use it as the basis for whatever product you end up building, you can do that. But it's designed to be not a huge investment. We don't care about it because if we're wrong, we want to know that fast and cheap. So
it's like sending Lewis and Clark instead of the whole expeditionary army.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Let's send a couple scouts out there to blaze the trail, find out what the problems are going to be, find out what the obstacles are, have them build some bridges and some paths.
Yep.
Now we'll go.
Yep.
But
yeah,
if you're invest a whole lot first.
It's a really great analogy because if you are doing a cross country and you've got the whole wagon trail, you got all the caravan of you need the scouts because if you continue straight, you run into the Grand Canyon and it's going to take you weeks or months to go around it. Whereas if your guys figure that out quick, they can find that path and say, you know what, we just need to make a 5-degree course correction right here. And then we're good to go straight on, and then we'll get back on track later. And we didn't waste a month trying to figure out a way around the Grand Canyon for 16 wagon trains.
That's a big hole.
That's a big hole. So it's actually a really great analogy. I'm totally going to start using that one. So,
well, thank you.
So why does prototyping matter? It matters because we want to save you time and money. There's a lot of companies that will happily take your money and happily spend the time doing the thing that you think is the right thing. Be honest with yourself and say, I think this is the right thing. And the conversations I've had so far with the 10 or 15 people closest to me tells me I might be onto something. Let me get outside my immediate element into people who don't have an investment in me and me succeeding and me being great and talk to them. And let me have something to show them that didn't cost me a lot of money and didn't cost me a lot of time. That's the mindset that we want to get people into is the minute you say to yourself, oh, I have this idea for an app, or I have this idea for a technology company, or I have an idea for, this product that could make people's lives better, to go, okay, let me go find some of those people and let me show them what I'm thinking and get validation.
I mean, we all know that in almost every situation, if not every situation, the more prepared you are before you embark on whatever that, I don't know how to put that exactly, but sort of before you step off into something, the more prepared you are ahead of time, the more you know, the more successful you're going to be, the faster it's going to work, and the less frustration you're going to run into. And that's what this process puts you into, rather than somebody saying, you know, I can go to a financial advisor if I've got a bunch of money and I don't care maybe that I'm paying 15% commission or something for trades. But if I go out and I research the market myself, I can go out and do trades for $7 and make a lot more money.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have to be willing to do that, and either in the stock market or with your idea, because, you know, if you're not willing to do that, then you're kind of playing this pie in the sky game of, this is a great idea, it would make me $1 million. And I either won't do anything because I'm not willing to sit down and do the research and some of the hard work to find out information. I either won't do anything with it and I'll just keep telling people about this great idea I have, or I've got some money and I will, but I'm not going to get because I didn't do the research.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is, you know, certain things have to come in a certain order for success a lot of times.
Yeah. Another great analogy that you made me think of is you were talking about embarking on whatever this journey is. It's sort of like when you pack for a trip, you think you're going to the beach. So you're like, oh, I need a bathing suit and I need flip-flops and, you know, I'm going to wear shorts and maybe I'll take a light jacket in case it rains. And your users are like, yeah, except the island you're going to, it's a beach, but it's in the Arctic. So really, you need something totally different. Well, you've already packed your suitcase, you're on the plane, you're halfway there, and now realizing not only do I not have the right clothes, that would be your software, but the store to buy new stuff when I get down there is really expensive because it's the only one. So some interesting analogies. So start your journey by being willing to consider that you may not know everything you need to know. In fact, you probably don't. And that doesn't mean that your idea isn't good. It doesn't mean it isn't valid. It doesn't mean that you don't have something juicy that can turn into a really good business that, you know, that you're going to enjoy. It just means that you don't know everything yet, and that's okay. And that's where the prototype can help you learn all of that valuable stuff cheap and quick. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any parting thoughts for these guys?
Nope.
All right. For Rika Technologies on GotAnAppIdea.com, this has been Incubate This with Grant, Daryl, and Cynthia. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.